City Council meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and I will ask Nicole to take a roll call, please.
Carberry Montgomery.
Here.
Kroll.
Here.
McBurney.
Here.
Obrecht.
Here.
Okay, please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale's a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Ask for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Item 3 is a presentation from UCAN. I want to welcome Rachel Lewis up to the stand. Rachel, if you want to come up here and introduce yourself and talk about UCAN for a few minutes. Yep, right up there. And turn the microphone on. There should be a button.
Thank you. How's that sound? Great. Good. Well, thank you everyone for having me here tonight. I'm in my 3rd month now as the director at UCAN. I'm learning lots. I'm learning lots about the Urbandale community, and I'm really, really looking forward to becoming a part of this collaborative community. The mere fact that I was invited here today is exciting because it says, let's talk. I am part-time, but I would welcome the opportunity to meet with any of you individually, one-on-one. My office hours are about 9 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you're always welcome to come and join us for distribution in the afternoons. We are looking for volunteers, and I am looking for a part-time person to come and work in the office. And we are at Aldersgate Church at 3600 675th Street, for those of you that don't know. And for those of you that are wondering, I am from Iowa. I'm born and raised here. I graduated from Drake University, and I have a background in doing systems of care in all kinds of communities, rural and rural. And I think Urbandale is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm grateful to be here tonight. And again, thankful for those of you that have reached out to say hello. And hopefully I'll be seeing you again soon.
All right. Well,
Rachel, what's your contact information?
My email
Yeah.
is the same. It's info@urbandalenetwork.org.
Perfect. Well, great. Well, thank you. Welcome to
Thank you.
Urbandale. We're looking forward to working with you. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you. All right, item 4 is Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's regular agenda. Would anyone like to address the council at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then. Item 5 is the adoption of the minutes from the July 25 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. There are 8 items for approval.
Move approval.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, we are moving into public hearings. Item 7.1 is a public hearing to consider the Westport Ridge Lot 12 Plat 2 amendment to the Planned Unit Development Master Plan at 10520 and 10530 New York Avenue. The public notice for this was published in the July 25 Des Moines Register, and ask Nicole if there are any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right. So then to introduce this is our Community Development Director, Steve Franklin. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening all. So this is property in the Westport Ridge PUD. So Hickman's down here at the bottom of the screen. This is 104th, turn on New York, and then you can turn off of New York onto the properties. This is part of a PUD that was approved back in 1980, so it has some age to it. It's a variety of different uses. In this particular area of the PUD, it's small business type uses that are part of the PUD. Back in 1989, this lot was divided without the approval of the city. I will say the county is much better these days in talking to us about these types of situations when they come up. But this got divided, city didn't know about it, wasn't able to comment on it, so you have a building here that has no parking. Originally, they were all part of one lot and had, I think, 71 parking spaces. So over the course of investigating this, and I forget what we became aware of when, but come to find out that there is a church operating in the building here to the south, and then the other building is currently vacant. They're trying to find users to go in that building. So we thought this was an opportunity to amend the PUD. The church had been there for a while. It's not big enough. It is offices, which offices are allowed, but it's not big enough to where it's triggering some building code issues that we would be concerned about. So we thought this was an opportunity to bring this back, do an amendment, get the parking to be shared to, in effect, basically make both buildings be on one lot again, and be able to keep the church in there. So, you know, there are opportunities like this. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We thought this was a great candidate to keep an existing business there and open things up to make it much easier to get another business in this other building, since there are enough parking spaces based on what the typical parking ratios would be for these type of businesses. So, so specifically, one of the amendments, again, is to have both buildings be able to share the parking spaces. There are 71 parking spaces there, which 9.5 times out of 10 is going to be enough spaces for what's going on there. And in this particular case, based on any office user that would go there in the church, it is more than enough spaces by a few. And then the second amendment would allow a church to operate in this building. And as I mentioned, they've been there for a while. As long as they stay their current smaller size, there's no building issues, building code issues that we would find to be concerning. So Plan and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the amendment. Would be happy to answer any questions.
And I guess the background of why it came forward, so it's not because of a potential tenant or a potential sale on any of these properties, it's just getting current, okay.
Yeah.
And
It's really, you know, the church is in the one building, they're trying to find a tenant for the other building, but it's kind of hard to talk to them about what can go in there and what can't, because they technically didn't have any parking, so.
so the two lots are under common ownership currently now?
They are not.
They're not,
They are
okay.
different ownership. Yep. Which is why they precipitated the split in the first place, which kind of muddied the water. So this is kind of an end round to make it legal to have two different buildings there under two different ownerships. They can share the parking and have the uses that we contemplated in there, except for the church. But again, the church is small enough, it doesn't raise a concern for us.
Will there be any way that will flag us if church membership becomes an issue?
Other than they are certainly aware of what the conditions are, and we would trust them to come to, they know what the limitations are and are very happy that we're making this accommodation for them. So it's going to be difficult based on the size of the building and the space to really have anything bigger anyway.
You mentioned the county. What did they have to do with anything? I'm just trying to educate myself on this.
Anytime there's a plat survey, or frankly, any plat that gets recorded, that ultimately goes to the county, and
Okay.
the county is the one that does that. So for example, whenever we have a plat, there's all kinds of platting documents that go with it. We always review those and make sure, it gets just another set of eyes on it.
Right.
Make sure that all those documents are appropriate, but ultimately it's up to the county to say, yep, this is everything we need, and they record it. There have been actually recently in Dallas County, there was a plat survey that got approved, and we hadn't provided our stamp on it. We generally have a stamp to where we note that it's been approved. We called them and said, hey, we haven't stamped it, we don't have any issues with it, and they apologized profusely, and we redid it with the city stamp on there. So there was a time when they weren't always checking with the cities to make sure that the cities were okay with it, and this is one that just kind of fell through the cracks back in 1989.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the auditor normally checks with the city.
Right.
To make sure that
Right.
they've approved it too.
Yep.
So you don't have non-conforming lots developed.
Right. We could have commented on this way back then and not had to take this step and dealt with it, but it is what it is. So this is a way to make it right for
I
everybody.
mean, Larry wouldn't have even been born yet. So.
Not true. I would have been 3. Thank you.
All right, any further questions for Steve? We are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item, either for or against? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kirby Montgomery, second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of Council Letter 7508.
Okay, motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. And that passes. All right, thank you. Item 7.2 is a public hearing to consider the Prairie Tower, FKA, the Schaefer property, Lot 2, Plat 2 amendment to the Plan Unit Development Master Plan at 128th Street and Meredith Drive. The public notice for this was also published in the July 25 Des Moines Register. And is there any objections to that notice is published?
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Steve?
Okay, this is what is now being called the Prairie Trail PUD, intersection of 128th and Meredith here, the Fast and Fresh, you can see that. The daycare is up out of the ground now, has all been framed, so you can see that that's under construction here. And the lot in question is the lot outlined here in red with frontage on 128th Street. The amendment is to allow a car wash to be a permitted use. It's about 1.76 acres in size. And you can see not located on the corner, but one lot to the north. Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend approval of the amendment. Would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve on this item from the council?
I guess I'd like to talk to you about the difference between your initial staff recommendation and the Plan and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
The process is staff makes a recommendation. In our estimation, and we met with them and talked through it, we, at this point, particularly with the goals of economic development in mind, and those primarily being the ability to have jobs, and they will have a few jobs, and then the ability to grow the business to have more jobs, and the fact that we do have other car washes around, we felt like it was not a use that was in our best interest to go here. Obviously, they've done their homework, they have their demographics, they decide otherwise. So we made a recommendation to Planning and Zoning Commission that we thought that it should be denied. Planning and Zoning Commission then considers it, and what you consider is what Planning and Zoning recommended to you, and they recommended approval, so.
All right. We're in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? One of you go. Come on, Adam.
Thank you, Adam Caduce, R&R Realty Group, 1080 Jordan Creek Parkway. The applicant is here with us tonight and I think might make some comments as well, but just as the landowner on the property, had some really nice discussions with P&Z, and as we work through this, we see this area developing as a neighborhood retail center. Those typically, as you look countrywide, are typically amenities that support people who live in the area. Typical amenities, car washes are pretty typical, and these types of developments have become more popular over the last few years. We've got some good examples of how car washes fit into neighborhood developments. Just outside of Lifetime Fitness, there's a car wash that fits in nicely to that development. And then there's a car wash on the other side of the interstate on this development that supports where Home Depot and Super Target are. So we really think this fits in really well with like neighborhood developments. We like the site in particular. It's really a nice buffer from where you go from retail into more industrial development to the north of this property. So we think that it works nicely that way and it's not going to interfere with any other residential that is on the other sides of this intersection. So we think it's a nice buffer, and that was something that P&Z mentioned as well. I will say, I know the city's been really supportive of adding more amenities to this area. We've heard everybody loud and clear. We understand that food service is a big one, and we've continued to work in that direction as well. It does seem like as we've continued to develop in this area, that one project leads to another. And while this may not be the food item that everyone wants, with the Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh going in, that brought a daycare, all really good amenities. There's a lot of people that support car washes and take advantage of that service. Drop your kids off and grab a cup of coffee and run through the car wash. So we think it continues to support good development in that area. We've got a number of retail lots in our development that are left to be sold in this area, as well as on all four corners of that site, there's additional retail to go in. So I think this is one more key that will continue to provide a diverse set of amenities to residents in the area.
All right.
Thank you.
Adam. Is there anyone else like to address the council on this?
Good evening, Council. Jonathan Kester, 3985 Scout Trail, Waukee, Iowa. I'm here on behalf of the developer wishing to purchase the property. I'm an investor in the property. I'm not the developer of Accord. However, I want to echo some of Adam's comments and just kind of drill that down into more of an amenity style feature that we're seeing right now across the country. Car washes somehow became a dirty word. You know, car wash, I think clean. I need one right now. With our current denial from staff, I think the primary concerns were on economic development. And we did take a good hard look at that, and we have selected an operator that we believe will keep this property thriving for many years. Adaptive reuse projects and a car wash is a unique thing to change its use, and put another tenant or another operator in is not an easy thing to do. So I certainly hear those comments, and we wanted to let council know we've taken that into consideration. As we've looked at this, we certainly don't want to invest $3 to $5 million in a project and see it fail on any Accord. So we've done our homework, and we believe this to be a great area, and we look forward to continuing to look in the Urbandale area for other projects as well. So thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. One item for consideration.
I guess one quick question for Steve, not related to the denial piece, but a previous car wash that was built, when the site plan piece came back, there was a misunderstanding about parking spaces on site versus off site, the one that's now under different ownership. I guess just want to make sure that the parking spaces that get shown in a site plan are actually for the employees of the car wash, not that turn into vacuum stalls.
Right. If they do have employees, as this one plans to have, we would, when the site plan came in, we would make sure that we had that particular aspect covered, yes.
And while you're still up there, Steve, how many car washes do we have in this general area?
I'm not sure how many total. We counted 6 that are within about 2.5 miles. There's one in 156th in Meredith. There's the one, Mr. Car Wash, down by in front of Lifetime. There's Champion Car Wash, which is over across from the cut through by the credit union there. If you go down Northwest Urbandale Drive, Laser Wash is there. And I'm blocking now on what the other one was, but
There's a number of them in Grimes.
yeah, oh yeah. We didn't count other cities, and there's one at 86th and Meredith, which is outside of the 2.5 miles. So we just kind of looked at like what's within 2.5 miles, and there are half a dozen of them. You know, and part of their rationale, as they explained at P&Z, is you get off the interstate, you can turn left or right. Well, if you turn right, Champion's there. If you turn left, you got to go all the way out to 156th and Meredith. And so their demographics, their plan is this would be one that where they think people would want to go. So.
In reading through the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes, it looks as though there's already an opportunity for them to build one without rezoning to the southeast.
Correct. The Economos PUD, which is this, well, sorry, it's not up. Can you throw me up there? There we go. This PUD right here does have one in there. Who knows when and if they're ever going to develop. We did notify them at P&Z's request of this. Did not hear anything from them, but there is one allowed in that PUD on that corner as well. And that's part of what we thought about, that eventually they could choose to build one there. And do we really need 2 of them at this intersection? But, you know, they're here now and they're not, so.
And on the Economos, I mean, you don't have any improvements already there. I mean, you don't have any stormwater, you don't have any sewer, you don't have any streets.
Correct.
So you're significantly further out on that side.
Yep, yeah, your best guess is that's still a ways out because we're not even being asked about that property right now. So for whatever that's worth in your consideration.
And this is more of a procedural question. Is there a way to amend that PUD for the economist property to exclude car washes?
Yeah, you certainly could. You certainly
Down
could.
the road.
But that would be you're talking about a council initiated one, that's pretty
Correct.
rare to do that, though.
Correct.
Move approval of Council Letter 7509.
Okay, motion by Obrecht,
I'll second it.
second by McBurney. Any further discussion? All right, please vote.
I apologize. I have a system error that it's coming up.
Okay,
We have a split vote. Carberry Montgomery is aye, Kroll is nay, McBurney is nay, and Obrecht is aye.
all right. So we have a split vote, so that it fails then. Okay. So the motion fails.
Steve, what are their options for reconsideration, or do they have to wait a year?
Yeah, I believe they have to wait a year and then they can come back. I would want to check with city attorney to be sure on that, but I believe that is the right answer.
All right, well, motion fails. Thank you. We will move on. Item 8 is, item 8.1 is to establish a public hearing for the development agreement with the Prairie Trower Building LLC, one LLC. Your motion?
Motion to approve resolution 154-2023.
Motion by McBurney,
Second?
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.2 is to establish the public hearing for the development agreement with Marsh One LLC.
Motion to approve Resolution 155, 2023.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish the public hearing for the development agreement with Marketplace 4820 LLC.
Move approval of Resolution 156, 2023.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And item 8.4 is to establish the public hearing for the development agreement with Urban Loop Building 1 LLC.
Move approval of Resolution 157, 2023.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote.
It got really slow.
Sorry.
After the one time when it
There-
wasn't sure what to do.
There we go. All right, that passes. Thank you. Moving on then, to item 9, planning and zoning items versus item 9.1, which is Caldwell Parish Funeral Home Addition Site Plan at 8201 Hickman Road. Steve?
Okay, this site plan, I'm very happy to show you. They've been working on this for a while now, right? A couple of years anyway. So trying to figure out something that works best for them, kind of a tight site, but finally have figured something out. So this is Hickman Road, here's the bottom of the screen. This is the frontage road, 82nd Place, and the frontage road that comes off of that, which is access to the funeral home. They've looked at a number of different options, including maybe even doing something on a separate site. and finally decided that makes the most sense for them. So it's a couple of two small building additions on the back of the building back here is what they're proposing. And let me go to that site plan and show you what that looks like. Here we go. So here is the building. There are two small additions back here at the back. One of them is 237 square feet on the west side, which would be this one here, and that will allow for a larger preparation room. And then there's a 239 square foot addition here, which is the one on the east side, which will allow for two more offices and a floral arrangement area. So glad that they were able to figure something out that does meet their needs and can keep them going. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. Would be happy to answer any questions, and Mark is here as well, can answer questions.
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7511.
Second?
All right, that passes. All right, thank you. Item 9.2 is the Magnolia Heights Plat 1 final plat, 156th Street and Buttercup Way.
It was on the list, Buttercup, for a long time, so it's not my favorite.
Just Bride fans here, or?
So these three different plats coming up, we'll do these separately, but they're obviously going to be in the same area and very closely related. Plat 1 is probably the most different one because there is a map here on the front sheet. This is the largest of the three plats. This one is 27 acres. The overall Magnolia Heights preliminary plat is basically all of this area in here. They're going to split this up into 12 different plats. So there's going to be a number of plats coming your way. Different size single-family lots. There are townhomes in there as well. Tonight is plats 1, 3, and 4, which are all single-family lots. Plat 2 will be coming shortly, which is more up to the north up here, and it is townhomes, and then there's some additional plats coming as well. So, but this is the biggest of the three plats tonight, again, 27 acres. And the main thing about this particular plat is it includes a 14.6 acre parcel, which is basically this area right here, which is the parcel on which the school is being constructed. And if you've been out there recently, that school is coming up out of the ground and they're going, gangbusters on that. So it would be good to get this recorded and approved. So it's the 14.6 acre lot for the school and then 42 single family lots to the east of that. And so this is the configuration of the overall plat, including 153rd Street, which will go across the drainage way and come up and be able to serve all these lots. This is a mixture of, I can scroll down here and show you some of the lots. Again, there's the school lot, and here's where you get into some of these single-family lots. It's a mixture of 46-foot wide lots and 60-foot wide lots in this particular plat. Again, 42 single-family homes and the lot for the school. Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend approval, subject to items noted. Be happy to answer your questions.
So where is pedestrian access for the school? Like if someone lives on Ironwood Lane, I guess that's, how are they walking to school?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what we've done with pedestrian. I could certainly check on that and let you know what the plan is, but.
Well, I guess I asked at all these school ones is to
want
make
safe
sure
crossings,
there's
right.
safe internal access from the
Yep,
neighborhood.
yep. And we have looked at that. I just don't remember off the top of my head without getting into the school site.
Because it would seem to me to make sense to have like a walkway between one of the lots. Like, I think we've done that at Radiant,
Yeah.
but,
I'll pull the site plan out and I can scan that and send it to you.
I mean, I'm sure this is fine, but this is all a question I will always ask, is to make sure we have safe access. Because this school is going to serve, that part of, the west or east and north of the school. And so I want to make sure those kids can get there on foot
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
bike.
Yeah, I'll get the site plan. I can scan it and get it out to AJ and he can send it to everybody.
Where's the developer here to answer that?
Yeah, you want to Cover that, David? I'm sure you know. You probably still like a pretty picture too, right? Even if David answers the question.
I love pretty pictures.
David Albright, owner of Paladin Properties. To answer your question, it's through the Mid-American easement to the very south. We're installing a pedestrian trail combination between the developer and the school. As we talked through the preliminary plat process, Ironwood and 153rd Street will all have sidewalks. And then it's my understanding also that the pedestrian trail will be connected to Coyote Ridge. Originally, there was discussion that there was going to be separation, that the Coyote Ridge pedestrian trail would fall down to the south to Waterford Road. And now I think that there's discussion that the trail will cross the city ground, the ditch, the creek, whatever you want to call it. So there is a 6-foot pedestrian trail that's being installed that will have connectivity to the entire neighborhood and then the adjoining neighborhoods as well.
So Steve, I'm assuming that easement is down where it says 153rd Street, down there on that.
It'd be the south end coming in from
Okay.
down in here.
Okay,
I'll get you exactly what that looks like.
And
thank you.
It's a squiggly trail, not a straight trail.
I just want kids to be able to walk to school, so.
Yep, and it connects to what we did in Waterford Point all the way up to 142nd Street. So I think it's a pretty significant, it's a pretty significant trail system that's been addressed and established for quite some time.
We couldn't really do much underneath that big overhead power
Yeah.
easement, and so that was one of the things we could do was provide a trail.
Right.
So as
Okay.
David mentioned, that goes all the way to Coyote, goes all the way over.
Through
Right.
Coyote into Waterford.
Yep.
Great.
All right, great. Thank you, David. Any further questions on that? Not?
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7515.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.3 is the Magnolia Heights Plat 3 final plat at 153rd Street and Buttercup Way.
Okay, this is Plat 3, which is only 9 lots, which is just a little bit farther to the east. You can see on the map, it's an area that's a little bit farther north and to the east. This is one of the streets coming in, and these are the 9 lots. And then Plat 4, which I'm getting ready to show you, is over here, and it's 40-some lots to the east of this. But they wanted to split this up separately, and it just is, so it's 2.2 acres total, 9 single-family detached lots, 46-foot wide minimum width. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval, subject to items noted. Be happy to answer questions.
Questions on this?
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7516.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And item 9.4 is Magnolia Heights Plat 4 final plat at 152nd Street and Stonecrop Drive.
So this is Plat 4, just to the east of the plat that you just approved. This is a total of 42 single-family lots on 7.5 acres. These are a mixture of 46-foot wide lots and then some 50-foot wide lots. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval, subject to items noted. Be happy to answer questions on this one.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Questions?
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7517.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Great, thank you. Item 10, regular agenda items. First is item 10.1 is to the special bow hunting of antlerless deer for the 2023-2024 season. Chief?
Mayor, members of council, I have several items in a row here, so I believe AJ and I have discussed it as questions only, and if you have some questions about the deer hunting, I'd be more than happy to answer them, and have Officer Pickett here as well, who's more of an expert than I, if it gets deep in the weeds here.
I'm still just waiting for approval to be able to do it right off my deck.
Probably not gonna
Larry.
happen.
I guess I'll ask the question that I generally ask about the availability of the locker to donate the,
Yep, so we still have that program in place, and what we used to bring the truck in and with the cooler, and that just wasn't economical for what we were doing, so now they just bring them to us individually if they come in, and we run them down to Milo, and then we get the meat processed and brought back to
so Rob
Urbandale.
Sands throwing it in the back of his truck and bringing it to you guys, and then you guys are taking it down.
We take it down to Milo and get it processed, and then get the meat back to the Urbandale Food Pantry.
Okay?
And that alleviates some concerns with hunting. Sometimes, the way I've described to staff is, if I'm hunting on a Wednesday night and I got to go to work the next morning and I shoot a deer, now I may not be able to make it to work in the morning because I got to get that deer somewhere and get it processed and get all that, and it takes time, obviously, and effort. And so they may pass on shooting that deer because I got a meeting in the morning, I got stuff going on. So this helps us facilitate getting that deer to the locker, and really takes that, it helps the hunters out as far as then they don't have to worry about that the next day. So it's worked really well. I think it works better than the refrigerated truck. It's more economical and more efficient.
Great.
Move approval, Council Letter 7503.
Second.
Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.2 is to consider ordinance 2023-08. Chief? You have any further on that, or you just?
Is it the removal? I don't have the.
Removal of the public morals.
Okay, yeah, so we have two, and there's two sections here where we're going to be removing a couple ordinances. Just real briefly, we're going through a process over at ours where we're reviewing all of our city ordinances to see what's up to date, what's not, as far as police department businesses at least. And these are two that we came across that we had some help from John Conyer. We do not use these sections. They are referenced state code, every single one of them. And they're hard to keep up to date with state code. We haven't done a good job of doing that. That's one of the reasons we're reviewing everything now. But a lot of them are very serious crimes that we would never charge as a city ordinance violation, which would be a simple misdemeanor, because they carry a lot stiffer penalty. Stalking, for example, we would never charge someone with stalking with a city ordinance because that's a very serious crime, and it warrants more than a simple misdemeanor violation. So we always rely on the state ordinance when we charge these crimes, so they're not really going away. And that's been the practice for 30 years at the police department that I've been there. We just don't charge city ordinance on any of these violations. So we thought it was a good time to clean it up and get them out of there.
Move approval, Council Letter 7514.
Second.
McCroll, second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then, as Chief discussed, this is item 10.3, ordinance 2023-07 regarding offenses against persons.
Same thing, I'm assuming?
I'm sorry?
The same thing.
Yep, exactly the same thing. Yep. It covers a variety of different ordinances or crimes, I should say, that are covered by state law.
So move approval, Council Letter 7513.
Okay, motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And item 10.4 is consider the professional services agreement for the school crossing guard program, Chief.
Yep, it's that time of year again when we're getting ready for school to be starting here in a couple of weeks. So school crossing guards always comes up contract about this time. So we're using All City Management Service as we have in the past. They've done a fantastic job. We have no complaints with what they've been doing in the past several years that we've used them. It's the price keeps going up a little bit. They have the same problem that we are having as far as getting people to do the job. So they're trying to stay competitive with their wages to get people out there to do this part-time job for them. which makes it even more difficult in the hours that are set, so. But yeah, they've done a good job, so the information's there in front of you. If you have any specific questions, I'd sure answer them. The locations were also in your packet of where the proposed crossings are. That was based on engineering and us and the school all discussing together and coming up with that.
So I was online for the last meeting and a little bit out of it, a little bit with a cold. And maybe this is a question more for John. So we got rid of some with the school closure. Did we add some? I mean, is it the same amount of, are we basically netting the same number of guards? and
Yes,
just
we had the
moving
same
them
number.
around?
I'm sorry. Yes, we have the same number of guards that we had last year. We didn't end up adding any additional positions.
Okay.
We reallocated as schools have closed and new ones have opened, but we have the same number of positions. Yes.
Great.
Move approval of council letter 7505.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.5 is to consider the purchase of the police department portable radios.
And last but not least, our 3-year plan to replace our police portables. We did our first phase, a third of it last budget year, and this is the second of and then we'll do one more next year, and we should have them all replaced. As I stated before, the portables, some of them are well over 10 years old, but all of them are 10 years old. The system requires upgrade, and Motorola is going to quit servicing that model, and no longer provide any parts or anything like that. Obviously, that date that they stopped doing that doesn't mean there isn't anything left out there to keep them running, but we are working towards getting rid of them with that in mind as well. So, yeah, answer any questions if there are any. It's 50% off contract through the state that we're taking advantage of, 50% off retail price from Motorola. So that contract, I believe, runs through 2025, so we should have all of ours replaced by the time that contract is up.
And with it, I guess, the replacements, does that go down to the reserve officers and every radio in the system will eventually be replaced then? Or are we just looking at active?
No, that will take care of our reserves as well. Our plan will take care of them as well. The system that Westcoms operates under is going to require that all of those radios be changed out, even the reserves, and eventually all those old radios have to go away. So we will make sure we take care of our reserve unit as well.
Okay. And then Westcom and Polk County eventually will be same system too, or potentially?
They're not the same system because Polk County operates off of Raycom system. We are Motorola. So now there is interoperability channels, and this new radios that we're getting are all interoperable. So wherever we go, the state has built an interoperable system that Raycom, any system will operate off of that system. They all have to be compliant with that. So yes, we will be able to go. We already can. The interoperability is already working. So unlike the old days, I could probably I know I can talk to somebody in Sioux City right now on an interoperability channel. So it's really advanced quite a bit over the last 5 years.
Move approval of council letter 7502.
Motion by Kroll, second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. All right, thanks, Chief. Item 10.6 is consider the architectural services agreement for City Hall Engineering and Community Development remodel. And Scott Hoke will answer any questions if there are.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7518.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.7 is consider the bids for the 6350 Douglas Avenue building demolition. John will answer any questions if there are.
Move approval of Council Letter 7507.
Okay, motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And last but not least, item 10.8, approval of floor mat services for city facilities.
Oh, I got some questions. Just
Scott's here to answer.
I'm just kidding.
Move approval quickly. Move approval of council letter 7491.
Motion by Kroll. Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote.
It'd be as exciting as grease traps.
Yeah. Oh, I told you I had questions. No one answered them. My screen went away.
All right, that passes. All right, that takes us to the end of our regular agenda. Mayor and council items. Amy?
I just feel like I've seen all of you so many times in the last week, which means I've also seen staff. So kudos to staff for keeping us busy and everything from the dog park to National Night Out to Chief Holt's retirement to comprehensive planning meetings. We've just been really busy and we appreciate your support.
And what I say is every one of those had food except tonight.
True story.
I snagged a tea. Does that count?
Larry?
Oh, I think I'll just throw an extra thanks to our police and fire department. Unfortunately, I had to use their services over the weekend after a tire ran into my vehicle, causing significant damage, and our officers were well above and beyond the call of duty. Our firefighters were absolutely amazing. Took great care of myself and my wife. So just thank you again. Those are services I hope to never have to use, and but I'm so thankful that they're there when I need them. So thank you guys.
Glad you two are safe.
Yeah.
Adam?
Just, we got an email from resident about a median on Tanglewood, trimming bushes and so forth. I think it's one of the few medians that is not in an HOA, is not city directed. So I don't know if that's something we need to look into in the future, how many of those are actually out there. Not specifically that one, just how many medians are not in HOAs that need some potential maintenance, and how do we work on those in the future? I think we've kind of had a gentleman's agreement in the past of maintaining it. Might not be in our best interest to do that in the future, maybe in our best interest to do it. I don't know, just one of those things I think we need to discuss further as a council.
Okay, we'll have engineering do an evaluation.
So,
Or
Was that?
maybe it's already been done, I don't know.
Maybe something maybe we can't do. I know in my old neighborhood in Urbandale, there wasn't an HOA, but the next door neighbors took care of it.
Right.
So I don't know how we would know that.
Well, let's take a look and see what we have as far as information, and we'll do our best to update it, and if necessary, we'll just send the parks crew out there to do it. He didn't phase him at all.
He's still working on Bridget's questions.
All right, Bridget?
Honestly, I can't remember if I talked about this at the last meeting, but we are, we've hired a CEO at DART, so we're moving forward on that. But the next biggest thing is moving forward with our operations and maintenance facility. And we've received some federal funding, and we have significant local match available right now, but it's not near the amount necessary to build the operations and maintenance facility. I'm going to forward an email to all of you with information on what is being proposed. It is my intention to vote next month at our meeting to move forward with a phase one, which would be to acquire the land and build about 95% of the maintenance portion of the facility. There's all other sorts of things, bus washes and load. I don't even understand all the things that they have there, but that is my intention, is we have the money needed to move forward with that phase. But I'm going to send you all information. If you have questions, let me know, and I can get the questions answered from DART. If you want to see the existing facility, they have a tour set up towards the end of the month. The existing facility is is very much outdated, and the Federal Transit Administration has indicated they will no longer fund any improvements to that facility. So that's a big thing with DART. Another exciting thing out in the Dallas County portion of Urbandale is we have a ribbon cutting on a new middle school that is in Waukee that will serve 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in Urbandale portion of the Waukee School Board, or the Waukee School District. That ribbon cutting is Thursday at 5. It's Trail Ridge School is the name of the school, and it is west of Northwest High School. So don't get to Omaha if you're planning on going. That's all I got, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I just have probably one right off the top, or two things. I'll just fill you in on MPO. We're continuing to work on that as far as our search, and are having discussion tomorrow on that. That'll hopefully get resolved here sooner than later in the next month. Hope to have some resolution on our new executive director search there. At MAC today, we did have a discussion. I did bring up the dog leash ordinance, and that's going to be on the agenda for next month. Is John, who's from our staff has really reviewed that? Did John review that?
For the dog leash?
Yeah.
Both John and the chief.
I volunteered somebody from our staff to come to speak at MAC next month. You want to do it, Chief? You want to do it? Or,
I know a little bit about. I'll talk to John first thing in the morning.
I mean, whoever, I just volunteered somebody to get background on what we found out in the metro area, and just kind of have a brief discussion on that. So if you or John can do that, it'd be the second. I can tell you right now what it'd be. We meet at the Polk County Emergency Management, so you know where that is. Yep. So it would be September 12, right? Yep, Tuesday, September 12 at 7:30.
Second Tuesday.
Yep, at Polk County.
AM.
7:30 a.m. Yeah. Okay. 7:30 a.m. at Polk County Emergency Management. So
think about who you really want to have present that information.
If you said 7:30 p.m., I might have taken a rain check. That's my anniversary.
No, it's a.m. So
It's a.m.
if you don't mind doing it at 7:30 a.m., all right, I appreciate it. That's all I have. So we do have a closed session matter. Is there a motion and a second to go into closed session, please?
So moved.
Motion by Montgomery, second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Oh, shoot. I'm asleep.
All right, that passes.